Done. Redirecting to Facebook Live. Okay, we are here. All right. Good morning and welcome to part 2 of my live interview with Mick de Haan. I did a broadcast this week and it didn't come out to the quality that I wanted it to. So I'm live streaming straight into Facebook, but generally speaking, you'll find us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. inside the Better Business Place, which is a group designed to help business owners run more effective and more profitable groups. Today, I have Mick de Haan. He's the founder of Care to Grow, which is a financial well-being business with a focus on clients' financial well-being and transforming negative beliefs and behaviours to help them lead their best life. Please join me in welcoming Mick.
Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for having me twice. And as I said the other day, a very happy birthday. I'm glad you got to celebrate it with your two beautiful children. It's a great way to start your day. So today we're talking about financial literacy. What is it? How can I get better at it? And for the people watching this particular show, whether it's not live or on the replay, just tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your situation where you are right now.
Yeah, so my background's financial planning, did it for 20 years, and it was really around helping people with their wealth. Mm-hmm. It wasn't around their mindset around money. So they already, in a sense, had wealth. So as an example, they'd have $500,000 in superannuation. So I was really investing that and trying to help them sort of get to their retirement plans. But what I realized is that there's nothing around financial well-being around that. So what's their relationship with money? How do they manage money? Are they under financial stress? And as an example, where does a 30-year-old woman go to learn about money? They don't fit into that financial planning industry. Mm-hmm. So they're actually just going through life, and if they've got sort of limiting beliefs or behaviors around money, they'll sort of continue down that pathway. And it creates a lot of financial stress, Glenn, which is something that I'm working with clients to overcome. I don't like financial stress. It sits in your body. And I think what financial stress actually does over the long term, it has a major impact on relationships in regard to money, and also a major impact on your health. So when we look at the stats, financial stress is the leading cause of anxiety, depression, and cancer. Mm-hmm. If it sits in your body long enough. So I chose to actually leave the financial planning industry and just focus on financial well-being, which is more about behaviour of money and working through clients that have got, as I said, those limiting beliefs, behaviours around money. They don't understand money. They don't understand the flow of money, how it can help them, and changing their mindset around that and sort of encouraging them to actually have a better relationship with money and sort of building that financial freedom, which I love doing.
Okay, so before we get into the real context of financial literacy, why do you do the work that you do?
What I find, and I do a lot of work with women, Glenn, mm-hmm. So 90% of my clients are women, and what I find is that they're disempowered in a sense. And what I mean by that is generally you look at women, so they're out of the workforce, they've got half the amount of superannuation that males do, they take on caring roles, and they just don't have the same sort of opportunities that I see males do in regard to their career and building wealth. So what sort of stems from that is that one of my personal issues or mission is that there's a big increase in homeless women aged over 55, and that simply is they sort of come out of a relationship, whether that's domestic violence or whatever, and they don't have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So they find themselves either on the streets or in a situation where they don't want to be. So that's probably one of my drivers, is to work with women at a lot younger age. And as an example, a 30-year-old woman, and start teaching them about, as I said, financial freedom, what does that mean to them, and start that journey in regard to changing their mindset and making them feel valued, making them feel as if it's all about them. A lot of women don't put themselves first.
Mm-hmm. But why do you do it? Why do you do the work that you do? What is it? What's the driver for you? Have you seen too many people just broke, or have you seen people just more with that stress? What's the driver for you?
Yeah, the driver for me personally is I've been through it.
Okay.
So as much as I'm passionate about it,
Yeah.
I actually had a limiting mindset around money, and I didn't even know it because it sits in your subconscious mind. And what I found over many years, I was on a good income. I was building up my superannuation. I was in a pretty good spot financially, but I was really tight with money. I don't know whether that's my Dutch background, but
Yeah.
but I was always seemed to be under financial stress, and there was no real reason behind that. But just as I said, some of my limiting beliefs and behaviours. So when I was 49, I'm on the flip side of 50 now, but when I was 49, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer at a young age. And then 2 years later, I had a relationship breakdown, and I put a lot of that to, I had financial stress for 10 years sitting in my body, and it made me sick. And it really had a negative impact on my relationship. So I was married for 21 years. So I actually looked at myself and I'm thinking, I've got to improve. I've got to change what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm going to get sicker. And then I started talking to a lot of people about their situation, and it was the same.
Okay,
They're
so
saying that,
you just nailed it on the head then. So if you're watching this particular show, Mick was in a really good place financially, but because of his understanding of money, he got really tight around that, and that caused strain in his relationship, and that had a breakdown. So he actually did some work with himself so that he can improve. So that's, you're not talking to someone who has been and just learned a little bit of knowledge, and you now know the why that he does the work and the passion. Because from the moment that I met you, Mick, I could definitely tell that passion on the work that you're doing, that you love it, right? Because it just seemed really, to me, really congruent. It didn't seem like you were selling anything. It was just, this is the work that I love doing, Glenn, and I want to get it out to more people. But now I know the why. So thanks very much for sharing that.
yeah, pleasure.
It's usually a place where people have to get, or sometimes I try to get them to be as vulnerable as possible. But what I'm trying to do there is get them to connect with the audience.
Yeah.
Because if we, the audience watching this, don't see that you've gone through something like this or your why, that we just don't build the connection.
Yeah.
And for me, my business is all about connection, business connections, intimate connections, and social connections. When you get that, it's very easy to see. Okay, so tell me, who are the main people that you serve?
So the main people are women. So I deal with a lot of business women and corporate women. And I suppose an example of that, I'm dealing with a corporate woman at the moment, very successful in her role. So she coaches the partners at a fairly big firm, listed company in Australia, very successful, comes across very confident, but she's hiding a secret. And that is, she's on a good income, but she's struggling paycheck to paycheck. She's actually got credit card debts everywhere, but she won't tell anyone. There's a bit of sort of a shame and embarrassment around that.
Yeah.
It's affecting her relationship. So when we sort of sat down and found out where that was coming from, a lot of that was from her mum and dad, their beliefs and behaviors around money, which she sort of just took on herself. And she was just leaking money everywhere. She couldn't hold on to money. She didn't have a good relationship with money.
Yeah.
She didn't understand money. So when we actually sat down and understood where, I suppose, these patterns and behaviors were coming from, and that we could change that, we actually just started to look at the flow of money, and it just, you could see her eyes light up. She actually saw that there was an avenue to get out of, where she was, and to actually just have a better structure. We're paying off her credit card debts. We put it all together. She was on 22, 23%, and we got that down to about 7%. And we're going to have that paid off within about 12 months. And she's sort of saving up for an investment property. And that excites me, just to see the shift in her.
Okay, now you deal with other people, but primarily the people that you love working with are corporate executive females in good incomes, but just not understanding really the way that money works.
Yeah, and business women. I love dealing with business women that are great at what they do there. They just, as I said, don't understand the money side of it, how it should serve them.
Let's have a bit of a turn. What has been the biggest challenge in your business today?
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge for me, is that there's a lot of emotion around money. So I put money and mental health in the same basket, in a sense. So a lot of people won't talk about money. They sort of feel as if they're judged. They feel as if they've got to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. And so there's a bit of shame around money.
You mean it's your definition of success? Sometimes people just go, how much money you're earning.
Exactly
and it's
right.
not necessarily done on how happy you are.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And people have sort of a negative connotation with money. So there's, as I said, sort of money doesn't grow on trees, or they've got all these stories around money. So they've got, in a sense, a love-hate relationship with money.
Yeah.
And to me, money just serves to provide freedom.
Okay. So what was the challenge for you around that?
So the challenge is for, and in particular working with women, is for them to open up
Okay.
and
So
tell their
that's
story. And that's vulnerable. That's
your biggest challenge, is getting your clients to do the opening up.
exactly right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your current growth plan to grow this business?
Yeah, I've got some exciting plans there. So I've got 2 programs that I'm putting out to market.
Mm-hmm.
And one is a women's financial wellness program, which I've just launched. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just empowering women to be a lot more confident and provide a framework for them to have that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
The other is I'm interviewing 12 amazing women around Australia around their thought leaders, how they've used their voice and visibility to be thought leaders, to be leaders in their own right. So I'll be sharing that out in different communities soon. So, and that's all about storytelling, Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just all about women at a younger age looking and listening to the stories of these amazing women and actually just taking snippets or taking parts of their story and just saying, that's what I want to be.
Okay. Well, now let's get down to the crutches. So what is financial literacy and how can I get better at it? Talk to us about, how can people get better at understanding money? Take us through your story or your program.
Yeah, so the program is really an awareness program.
Mm-hmm.
So it really gets them to first understand how their money flows. So I sit down with clients and I do a budget. I don't like the word. I actually call it an intentional spending plan because
I like that.
Oh, thank you. No, it's not negative. So a lot of my clients feel positive about that. So they actually start seeing how money flows in and how money flows out of their life. And that's really empowering. A lot of people don't understand what actually happens there. And then I work with them in regard to what they can save without changing their lifestyle a lot. An example of that, I sat down with my wife even, and we're having 2 less coffees a day, but that's almost $4,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
But then we actually look at what they're paying in regard to their home loan rates as an example. And what I find, Glenn, and it does my head in, is that people generally have got a fair amount of debt in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
And they're paying 1 to 1.5% above what they should be. So there's another $7,000, $8,000 that they're paying out of their money to a bank for no value.
Mm.
So when you start sitting down with clients that have never understood money or the flow of money, and actually sort of look at the structure, look at how money's flowing, and look at savings, potentially $1,000 a month, if not more, they start building confidence.
Yeah.
They start going, wow, I can actually do this. I can just make these changes, and it's given me a lot more money to do things that I want to do, whether that is going on holidays, buying investment property, whatever that might be. So that's really quite empowering. But at the same time, I work on their mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So again, a lot of people have this sort of limiting belief around money, and their behaviours and patterns show up in regard to either self-sabotaging. So they will procrastinate about things, business women in particular, in regard to even invoicing or charging what they should. I see a lot of that. So we start challenging that around their self-worth.
Okay.
And really understanding what their value is. And again, putting themselves first. And I just want to share a quick story that I'm working with a woman at the moment. She owns a real estate business and she's changed her whole mindset and behavior around money. Mm-hmm. She's got a lot more listings coming in. There's a lot more flow of money coming in. And we've actually set a target to actually have a deposit on her first investment property come January. And that's just so exciting. It's just shifted completely around, she was in a scarcity mode where she was struggling to pay employees.
Yeah.
And now she's shifted that. It's amazing to see the shift in the energy with her.
It is quite incredible. I was working with a client this week and she rang me to sort of say, hey, Glenn, first of all, she was in tears almost. And she said, oh my God, I knew that she had 7 appointments that particular day and 3 the next. And we've developed, a workflow and a conversation style between when inquiries came in, and she converted 7 out of 7. And it wasn't, it was the $1,000 sale. So it was $7,000 in. It wasn't so much the money. It was the confidence that she grew and the belief that she grew that she can do this. There's now a way forward for her. And I was I was really excited to get the phone call. So I can imagine how it would be for you, where clients would just get this overwhelming feeling going, oh, maybe there is light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe this is not the only way, but the path that I was going definitely wasn't working. And, working with yourself, I can see a future now.
Yeah. And a lot of people are sort of living on what I call autopilot.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these beliefs and patterns are in their subconscious and they don't even know it. So to bring that up into your conscious, into your awareness, and then work through that, you can see some major shifts quite quickly as well.
Now tell me more about that. Tell me, where do we get these stories from?
Yeah, so the stories come from when you're 0 to 7. Well, in actual fact, they come from your last trimester to 7 years old, where you're just working out where you fit in this world. So what you're doing is you're watching your mum and dad and you're picking up all the things that they're doing, because that's the only way you learn. So if they've got sort of limiting beliefs around money or got scarcity around money, you take that on. That becomes a part of your story. And you don't even know that. So you can actually see the same story as your mum and dad, as an example, playing out in your life without even knowing it. And as I said, the two that I see more with women, to be honest, is there's a number of money types, and one is the martyr one, which is, again, they put everyone else before them and they're pretty well down the bottom, and shifting that to actually say that you're worthy of having financial freedom. You're worthy of having financial safety, which I think is important for women. And also I see this sort of innocent mindset where if I don't look at money, if I don't look at the bills coming in there, it'll just go away. In natural fact, it won't.
Yeah, look, I've been guilty of that one, sort of going, I don't want to look at it because it's tough. It's accountability for yourself. Yeah,
exactly. So if we can sort of work through some of those limiting money types, money stories that, as I said, they're generally someone else's story, Glenn. And when you actually go through that and find out where they came from, and they go, well, that's not even me. That was my mum and dad, but I'm choosing something different.
So what's required for someone to make a change in their behaviour around that?
A lot of it is that awareness. So it is bringing it to the conscious because it's hidden, the subconscious there. And they're actually saying, so I have a lot of clients that sort of realise that they've got this sort of anxiety around money. So working through with them actually to how do you feel safe with money? Because anxiety, you feel unsafe. And how do you actually look at money in a different light? So I get them to be looking at money almost on a daily basis, money coming in, money going out, and they actually get quite inspired by it. They actually said there's nothing to fear here.
Yeah, correct. It is funny how, if you get a client, they're $1,000 or $4,000 or whatever they are, and you feel really great. The flip side of that is when money's not there, you feel really bad. And you're saying that comes out of your limiting beliefs, just whether or not it's good or bad, because it's just a figure, it's just an amount. It's your association to either of those.
That's right. Yeah.
That is the driver. And that's what you're really talking about. It's I can make certain actions, right? But whatever is driving that belief in the background, whether or not $4,000 is good, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, maybe it's 40,000, 40 million, right? So where are you limiting yourself? And where are your beliefs around that? You help people with is that the starting point?
Well, the starting point is working with them around the money flow, because it gives them confidence just to make a few minor shifts. And that listen, they actually go, oh, I want to know more. I just realized that I can make a difference pretty quickly. Teach me more around, where I'm going wrong, or enable me to have a better relationship with money. I want to understand what's holding me back in regard to building financial freedom, which I believe everyone deserves. Okay. So they work in tandem.
So now we know why Mick does the work that he does. We know kind of how the work that he does, and we know the clients that he mostly loves serving. So Mick, I always ask someone to come onto the show and bring a gift for everybody watching. So what sort of gift have you brought us today?
Now, I'd love to share with you. So with the money types, as I said, that's quite empowering for them to understand what that is. It gives it a voice. I actually have got a questionnaire that I actually send out to pre-clients, so clients that want to sort of take on my services. And from that, it gives us a good idea what might be holding them back on the emotional side around money. And then from that, I offer a 30-minute complimentary meeting just to discuss some of those habits, some of those behaviours, and they'll walk away with a bit more of an understanding of how they manage money, how they see money. Okay. So again, it's quite empowering. So I provide that for as a compliment to your clients.
Okay. So how would I get that to them?
So that'll be via my website. So it's www.caretogrow.com.au.
Okay.
And they can see that they can complete that questionnaire, and that'll come through to me, and then I'll organise a meeting with them.
Okay. And of course, that's totally complimentary. You just want to have a conversation and help people.
And confidential. And I think that's important, where there's no judgment in regard to that. And that's, I suppose, why a lot of people gravitate towards me, because again, there's no judgment, and it gives them a chance to tell their story, which they can't even tell their own partner a lot of times.
I think, once people know that there is no judgment there, they can really get themselves in that vulnerable state and tell you the honest truth, because you really can't deal with, you can't help them in their problem if you're not dealing with all the facts, can you?
That's right. That's exactly, yeah.
Well, as we'll wrap up the interview here. Thanks so much for coming back with us for the second time. I really appreciate that. As I said, my goal is actually to place you in the best light, but also to make sure that it's serving the business community that I look after. Is there anything you wanted to part with?
I just want people to sort of reach out, especially what they're going through at the moment. There is that sort of scarcity, not enough out there, is what I'm seeing, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't matter what situation. So it's more looking within and changing that. So reach out, have that meeting with me, and you'll understand more about how you feel about money, and you'll, I suppose, be enlightened to make some changes there. It doesn't matter what the market's doing, doesn't matter what the economy's doing. It's all about you.
What a great way to finish the show. All right, this is Glenn Kirkwood, aka That Referral Guy, signing off with a reminder to make, build, and share connections. And I'll see you next time on the Better Business Place. Bye for now.
Excellent.